Hey guys, it's Masatonic. I'm bilingual Harukist. 皆さん、こんにちは。バイリンガルハルキストのマサトニックです。Haruki Murakami Book Guide Short Story 48, an independent organ. So, in this video, I'd like to talk about Murakami's very interesting short story, which is called An Independent Organ. Actually, I kind of pretty like this short story because one main character of this short story, Dr. Tokai, is one very unique character which Murakami described in his work, I think. So in a way, I kind of interesting and I like this story. So let's get started. As always, this video consists of three parts. First, overview, and second, brief summary of the story, and third, deep reading or reading tips from me. So first, overview. This short story is contained in short story collection Men Without Women, which is published in 2017 May. And this, as you might know, this short story collection, including many other interesting stories. One of them is Drive My Car, which is made into movie in this year. So, and it's got a Cannes award. So anyway, so in that context as well, it's short story, this short story collection, Men Without Women, is worth reading. And yeah, it's very interesting. And I also made a video about Drive My Car. So if you're interested, please check. But anyway, this video is for an independent organ. And it's a story about love sickness. So I think to some extent, every love story involves some kind of a sickness, but in this story, it's much more focused on love sickness. Like I said, in this story, a very interesting character, Dr. Tokai, is featured. And yeah, as you can imagine, obviously, he kind of he involved in this love sickness syndrome. So, and what kind of story it is? Let's take a look at its story. So, Dr. Tokai is the main character, but this is a kind of story which is narrated by first person singular. And then there, in a way, the narrator or speaker is not Dr. Tokai, is actually Mr. Tanimura is a speaker or narrator of this story. And that character, Mr. Tanimura, is very much look like Murakami himself. I think he is just how to say fictionalized the character of his own, I think. So, and Mr. Tanimura talk about Dr. Tokai, the story, as a kind of close friends with him, Dr. Tokai. And that way the story narrated. So in that way, it's kind of same, how to say, structure of The Great Gatsby. In Great Gatsby, Nick Carraway, as a narrator and the protagonist, talk about his neighborhood, the Gatsby story. In a way, Mr. Tanimura is kind of Nick Carraway's position, and Dr. Tokai is a Gatsby's position. And this how to say explanation is kind of, I think, intentional idea, because Dr. Tokai is kind of reminds me to some extent the Gatsby himself. Not really he is, but like Gatsby, Dr. Tokai is kind of very rich and single person, and he had lived a very surprisingly artificial life. And how artificially he spent his life is in this short story. The first part is described. But artificial life means kind of complicated or very literally way of putting it, but much more a simpler way. He let's make it simple. He had a saying with many women simultaneously. So in a way, he was a kind of playboy. And Dr. Tokai's profession is a kind of, yeah, of course, doctor. And so he had a lot of money, and he has his own clinic. So he had a lot of money, and he lived a very nice and gorgeous condo in Azabu, which is one of very expensive district of Tokyo, and he had a lot of his free time, so he had seeing so many women basically were the other people's wife or some woman who had decent or I'd say steady partner except him. So he is kind of such a he has his own, and that kind of his single life. It's pretty much happily or merrily he had lived for more than 3 decades. And then, but finally, he encountered his destined woman. And as you can imagine, there this very dramatic encountering made him very much troubled position. Because and one day, and Dr. Tokai talked about his love sickness to Mr. Tanimura, which is really like Murakami like character anyway. And Dr. Tokai, he will not how to say falling into love to this destined woman too much because he had feared such a too much power. He before seeing of encountering this woman, he can handle his relationship with many women simultaneously. He had talented, he had skill, and he had experienced that kind of life. But once he met that kind of very destined woman, he can't himself just simply falling into love, and he kind of in the statement in the status of the such a love sickness, and he can't find out why, and he can't stand that position, and finally this destined love made him very tragic fate in a way. So what kind of a conclusion he waited for him is please take a look at by yourself by reading this book on independent organ. And anyway, and after some very terrible things happened, Mr. Tanimura had met with Dr. Tokai's secretary in person, and between them they had a conversation about how Dr. Tokai lived this or experienced this very tragic love, and they talk about with each other, and then this story has ended. And regarding the title, an independent organ, Dr. Tokai thinks every woman has an independent organ, and this independent organ enable them, I mean, those every women to lie very naturally without any hesitation, because that lie is not connected with their existence itself, because that's an independent organ. So every woman can take can tell a lie very easily, naturally, due to that independent organ. That is Dr. Tokai's opinion. So what do you think? To me, to some extent, that involves some kind of truth, but I'm not sure. I'm not a woman, and kind of scared. I'd ask to woman, what do you think? But anyway, if you have anything about it, please make a comment in this comment section. Okay, that kind of story. So to put it simple, this is a Dr. Tokai's story, and Dr. Tokai got a love sickness and finally make a very tragic end. And Mr. Tanimura and Dr. Tokai's secretary talk about him, that kind of story. This is an independent organ. So how should we enjoy this story, deep reading? First, very much simple one, or kind of, how to say, casual one. Let's select and enjoy Pinot Noir. This is one of Dr. Tokai's characteristic, or something Dr. Tokai is very good at. He can select, and he can select a very nice Pinot Noir, which is a red wine, So I love red wine and Pinot Noir as well, but I didn't have such a experienced and sophisticated skill to select a light Pinot Noir. But let's go to the wine cellar and let's make your decision and enjoy Pinot Noir. Actually, Pinot Noir is very tasteful, nice red wine. I like it, so let's enjoy it. And a much more simpler one, enjoy black and tan. Do you know black and tan? Actually, it's my first time to know black and tan. When I first time read this short story, Mr. Tanimura and Dr. Tokai, when Mr. Tanimura and Dr. Tokai had a conversation, they enjoyed with this black and tan. Just that way described. And then I just read through because some, how to say, this kind of particular name is frequently used and mentioned. And that kind of, how to say, reference is very unique way of Murakami, and I really enjoyed it. But a usual case, I didn't search it in detail, but this time I just searched it and find out what the black and tan is. And if you don't know, this is a beer character. So, and what kind of beer? It's a Guinness, so-called black beer like Guinness, and a pale ale type of beer, so Bass Pale Ale or something that kind of, and then that's a black beer and a pale ale with maybe 50-50s ratio, and they mixed, and that's a black and tan. So it looks like very tasty. I love beer as well, so I'd like to try. And so like Mr. Tanimura and Dr. Tokai, you can enjoy it very easy. I think compared to selecting a nice Pinot Noir, much more easy to make black and tan and enjoy it. So let's do it. And finally, kind of it's very different. Let's think about Auschwitz. Why Auschwitz is mentioned here? It's kind of very key theme of this story. So during the short story, Dr. Tokai one time mentioned about thinking about Auschwitz as a metaphor of his own position. He is kind of during the midst of the love sickness. That, how to say, how he had experienced such a very terrible or very tragic fate. Of course, it's not you can't compare such a, how to say, personal hard times and such a historical hard time Auschwitz. But to him, to Dr. Tokai, that comparison is very much made sense. So he did it. He had later Auschwitz book, and he think about their destiny and his own destiny. So thinking about Auschwitz and how Dr. Tokai felt and thought about Auschwitz and his own destiny is a very much, how to say, deeply way to enjoy this short story. And besides, knowing and researching Auschwitz itself very worth. And if you are not familiar with, actually, to me myself, I'm not so much familiar with this town, but it's I think very useful experience. So the last one is kind of a deep one. It's literally deep one, but so Pinot Noir and Black and Tan is very casual one. You can enjoy it if you are like wine and beer. Well, so let's please enjoy it. But let's not forget about reading books itself. It's if you're not reading this book, it's very interesting, enjoyable. So I hope this video make you read or make you read again. That's my hope. Okay, thank you for watching to this part. So I hope you enjoy. So let's see next book guide video. So and I would appreciate if you subscribe my channel. All right. Again, thank you again watching this video. So let's see next video. Until then, see you. Bye.